Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Velile. I am a lifestyle blogger from South Africa. I live in South Africa and I also live in Washington DC. Right now I am in Washington DC and I am taking you guys with me. I went to breakfast and then we are going back home. I'm with your favorite over there and we are just walking. The sun is nice and bright and you can tell that the spring is in the air. Everybody's out and it feels so good. We are no longer wearing jackets anymore. We are wearing light clothes and soon we'll be just walking with sleeveless t-shirts and stuff like that. So yeah, welcome to my life in America. Well guys, yes, welcome to my life in America. As a South African and African living in America, so many times I have been asked by people, whether on the comment section when I post videos of myself walking around and talking about my life in America. So many people ask, how is it living in America? How do I feel about living in a foreign country? So many people really are worried at this point in time. And some, they will even tell me, why would I leave such a beautiful country, South Africa, and come to live in America? What is interesting about this question is the fact that I get such a question from the Africans that are living in the continent of Africa, as well as the Africans that are living in the diaspora. I get so confused because I've been seeing a lot of Africans that are living here in the diaspora, especially African Americans, moving towards the continent looking for a better life. And I'm asking myself, what are Africans looking for? What is it that they are searching for that they cannot find in places where they come from? As I'm walking here, going back home after eating a very beautiful, nice breakfast, I came across this sign saying home is where the honey is. Typical of what you'll find in America, but it tells a lot about what Americans perceive as home. Home to Americans is the place of safety, comfort, love, warmth, and a place where one is cherished and feeling comfortable, but a place that is so sweet where you can be able to get benefit from it. To Africans, home is where the heart is. There's a difference there. Our heart is always at home. So when someone asks me, how do I feel by living abroad, the cultural differences and everything like that, I always say, guys, things like this do not worry Africans, especially those who come from the continent. When we come to countries like this, we are coming for a purpose. As many Africans travel for business or study, and sometimes in addition for their personal vacations. A large amount of Africans who go and live abroad for a couple of years or for probably even decades, they do go back to Africa. Alright, let's go back to the concept, home is where the honey is. Remember the signage that we passed in the morning after breakfast? That signage that I passed here in the streets of America. This sign reminded me exactly of what I have been observing on the reason why African Americans or Black Americans tend to move to Africa. It's totally different from why Africans from the continent move to the diaspora. The study shows that most Black Americans who found their homes in Africa, they tend to enjoy the substantial lower cost of living, and more importantly, they said, the absence of racism and discrimination they experience in the United States is not found in Africa because everybody looks like them. Everybody is black just like them. Underline this, the purpose of living America is totally different from an African who leaves Africa to America. Guys, I just want to emphasize this because that's the reason why sometimes we find African Americans having to have difficulties in the continent when they try to look for the lower cost of living, when they are looking for less discrimination, when they are looking for a better life that is cost effective. Okay, here is the thing about all of us as Africans. Africans from the continent, they move abroad. They move abroad to make money in dollars and euros and pounds. And then they take it back home, build their homes back home, build their establishment, their compounds. They look different than the little small apartments they are living in back here in America or in the UK. African Americans move to Africa to look for the same benefits that Africans do have in Africa. The benefit of owning land, for example, the privilege that most Africans do have in Africa, owning land based on your ancestral lineage to the continent. They move from America to go look for the same benefits, claiming their ancestral lineage into the continent. Where in the continent, no one knows. Some they claim theirs back in the west of Africa, some in the north, and anywhere else where the heart fits. So let's just now talk about what happens when African Americans come to the continent to look for such benefits. Why there is a clash between Africans in the continent and Africans who are coming from the diaspora to look for the same benefits that Africans living in the continent have. Why are we clashing? What makes us clash? I'm saying we are clashing because I have noticed a lot of African American YouTubers who are living in Africa putting out information that shows that we are clashing. We are clashing because minds are not meeting, the goals are not common, and they are not even shared. I'll give you an example here of one YouTuber who has expressed exactly the experiences that he has faced in Africa.
I know of a lot of people that came specifically to Tanzania, some to Kenya, others to South Africa, some to Ghana, some to the Gambia, and they came and they were doing so many beautiful and incredible things. They were connecting with people, and then somehow, some way along the way, there was this awakening, this realization amongst a lot of people that there was just something off, and it was that people weren't as friendly as they seemed, or they weren't as honest as they could be. And at first, I think a lot of people made excuses for it, and then over time it became inexcusable. Again, this isn't a bashing Africans video. There's already too many of those out there. This is just explaining it from my perspective in the way I and a lot of people saw it unfold. And it got to a point where it seemed deliberate.
Mark Meets Africa is a young African American man who came to Africa to start a life for himself, to work together with Africans to build Africa. And he was so enthusiastic. The first time I saw him, I was so heartbroken when I listened to this video. He goes on to mention that it became very hard when he started doing something and people could see that he's doing something. But the level of sabotage that came from other Africans who come from the continent, especially in villages where he was located, it became so obvious that people just didn't want him there, didn't want him to do what he was doing. I will tell you one thing, my observation when it comes to us Africans, why do we get to this level? First things first is because we are operating on systems that are not specified. Our leaders have failed to come up with an African agenda for Africans. How do we move? How do Africans in the diaspora who want to live in Africa can live? Things need to be specified because with the issues of land arising when African Americans are looking at going to rural areas to acquire land the same way as Africans in the continent are acquiring land through their ancestral lineage. Where do they start to trace their ancestral lineage and what are the procedures? Those are the things that need to be looked at. That's just number one. And also the communities in Africa needs to be educated about our fellow African Americans or any other Africans that are living in the diaspora and have grown up in the African diaspora but want to go back to Africa. Relocating to Africa should be made specific. Where do we start and how do we go about it? So that whoever is operating under that system is abiding according to the law. So there won't be anyone scamming anyone or anyone chasing anyone or anyone fooling anyone. It will be a very clear agenda. So it is important that the agenda is very well communicated with the communities, agreed upon, and especially with our tribal authority, because in Africa, especially in rural South Africa, tribal authority operates in a different way. That needs to be communicated. If it's not, then all of this will keep on failing and we'll keep on hearing stories like this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again for always tuning into this channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. I'll see you guys on Sunday on our next video. Bye bye.